Call this meeting to order. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. This is the Porter County Board of Commissioners meeting, Tuesday, April 3rd, 2018. Move right into consent agenda. We have approval of minutes, March 13th, 2018. Approval of payroll, March 23rd, 2018. Approval of claims, March 22nd, March 29th, 2018. Treasurer's monthly report, February 28th, 2018. And as always, our comp time report for the month is on file, too. Move over to Memorial Opera House, Scott McDonald, Director. Laura, I'll let you read the names.
Jeff Otto, Artistic Services Agreement for the Lunchtime Cabaret. Kyle Lidke and Angela Hyde, both Artistic Services Agreements. Martin Weisenbacher, Michael Glorioso, Jeff Otto, Artistic Services Agreement. Laura Gorski, Stephanie Reeder, Andrew Glorioso, Deborah Haddad, all Artistic Services Agreements. Angela Hyde, Bobby Sue Kovachkov, and those are also Artistic Services Agreements. And then Boyce, Annual Software License, Software Updates, and Software Maintenance for Ledger System.
Okay, so that is the consent agenda. At this point in time, I'll open the floor.
Motion to approve consent.
Second. We have a motion and a second for the consent agenda for the April 3rd, 2018 Board of Commissioners meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries. We have an announcement. I'll turn it over to Commissioner Blaney.
We have a library appointment coming up relatively soon, and so we're going to put out a notice that we're taking applications. Stu Summers is the current appointment, but they are in the process of hiring a new director over there, and we just don't want this to be up in the air too long for who our appointment will be, so we're going to get moving on that.
Real quick, just one other follow-up reminder. We have it posted just about everywhere, but we will be meeting, what's the new meeting? 17th. April 17th of this month will be the next Commissioners meeting. We moved it up a week. So April 17th is our next meeting at 10 o'clock in these chambers. We'll now move to Commissioners' business. First one on the docket, we have American Structure Point. This is change order number 6 in the amount of $15,646 for the admin plaza renovation. Do we have someone here from Structure Point? Yeah, Dan, could you come up real quick?
These are the bollards.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we know what the change orders are and what the work's for, that's all. Well, morning, Dan.
Good morning.
We'll see you in a little bit.
Absolutely, all day.
Yeah, lucky you. The $15,646, that is for?
It should be for two things. It should be for the change the trees that we originally had spec'd through the bald cypress.
That's the next one.
Oh, okay.
This is the
This
bollards.
is about,
Okay, then the other one is the bollards that the EMS gentleman I'd met with had requested that we put at the entrance to the ramp.
Yep, okay.
Yep.
Thanks, Dan. So the first one to the board again is the $15,646, and that's for replacing pipe bollards all around the outside of the new, 7 of them, right outside the new entrance area we put for, and that was at the encouragement and advisement of our emergency management department. So open up the floor. Any questions, motions?
motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion and a second for change order number 6 in the amount of $15,646 for the pipe bollards additions at the front plaza. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Motion carries. The second one is American Structure Point change order number 7 in the amount of $1,206. That again is for the admin plaza, and that was for an upgrade in trees.
Actually, it doesn't look like that on here.
No, it's the,
6 grease for the concrete area on the top here, of the plaza. Doesn't say anything about trees. Neither does the other one.
So the trees, yeah, because I thought the trees
Yeah,
was like a cost neutral,
yeah.
wasn't it? Okay. So these are for grates?
Yep.
6 sidewalk grates at the top tier of the plaza.
Yep. And that's for drainage trenches that were added, I think, to catch more water off the sidewalk and all that.
For watering the trees.
Right, yeah, for watering the trees, yeah.
Hold on.
It was to upgrade them from regular drains to high-heel approved drains.
Okay.
We expect just standard drains. When we designed it, I thought women wear high heels, and we should probably put high heel toothpaste there.
Yeah, I think that's good, that's probably a good thing to do. Any questions of the board?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion second for change order number 7, the amount of $1,206. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, pose same sign. Motion carries. Next on our docket, we have an offer to purchase on 157 Franklin in Valparaiso. It's a capital project. This is part of the capital plan. This was, I think, reported in the news over the weekend. What I'd like to do is turn it over to Attorney McClure right now, and he can sort of take us through where we're at, where we've been, and where we're going.
So we originally did the resolution in front of the council to be able to go out and get appraisals. We did that. The first appraisals came back, and the average, you have to get 2 appraisals. You can offer the highest of the average of 2. The most you can offer to purchase the property. When the appraisals were first done, the numbers came out at around a maximum offer of around $2.6, $2.7 million. We were then shifted gears in the capital improvement project, started looking at the addition here at the admin center. We then got contacted by the owners again. 2 things had occurred of significance. One, significant additional work had been completed at 157 Franklin. They were working towards getting the building prepared for office space. And also it became apparent that in the original appraisal that the lease of there's a high-speed internet tower on the top of the building, and that lease was not included in the original appraisal. Also, between the first appraisal and the refreshed appraisal, that lease was renegotiated, extended, and increased. So we had the appraisals refreshed, and when those appraisals came back to include those 2 significant changes, we had the average of the 2 together was $3,621,500. The highest, or the lowest appraisal was $3,548,000, and that was from Vail Appraisal. The other appraisal was obviously more. The 2 together and then average was $3,621,500. This is a proposal to do an offer to purchase or an agreement for the sale of the real estate. The parties would share in the closing costs and the title work. The offer is for the most that we are able to offer. It also contemplates that the restaurant would remain open for up to 90 days after the closing after the property closing itself. We attempted to have the restaurant remain. The owners of the building are the owners of the restaurant, and they did not wish to continue the operations of the restaurant in the building. So when that became apparent, the reason why we are having the restaurant remain is that we are hoping to be able to turn that part of the building into another restaurant. That seems to be something that we've heard from all the people involved, and that a restaurant remaining in the building would be something of a good thing that everyone seems to want, and we would want to continue that. Interestingly enough, the appraisal does not include potential lease income from the restaurant because when the appraisal is being done, the owners are the owners of the restaurant, and they would be vacating, and that was clear when the appraisal was being done. So the lease, that's about 4,000 square foot of lease space for a restaurant. That lease was not included in the appraisal at this time either. So this is an offer to purchase. It's for 2 parcels of property, the original piece of property and the small parking lot that's part of 157 Franklin, and also another parking lot that the owners had purchased subsequent to purchasing 157 Franklin. Again, the restaurant would remain open. This is for all the materials in the building except the personal property and the non-built-ins of the restaurant. The built-ins would remain, tables and chairs, pots and pans, and things like that. For this agreement would remain with the property of the owners. This contemplates closing within 30 to 45 days. Does anybody have any questions before we kind of get to do any other history on this? So, to clear up any misconception of the history of this building, in 2002, November 20th of 2002, the commissioners at that time sold this piece of property at auction in this chambers. That auction in 2002 netted $320,000 before the auction was paid, or before the auctioneer was paid. There's a fairly large misunderstanding that at some point we gave this to Valpo and Valpo sold it. That just didn't happen. And if you look at the commissioners' meetings, that kind of bears out and shows you that we did hire an auctioneer, and that was Sheldon Good out of Chicago. And they sold it here, and so we reaped the rewards of the sale of the building at that time. And that was obviously at an arm's length public transaction that netted the most possible for the building at the time. I think that goes to show, and it's difficult to communicate to the public and to everyone involved, that in 2002, we have to kind of go back in time here, we were in the middle of the Bethlehem bankruptcy. We were in the middle of the bailout loan from the state, and frankly, county government and all local governments were in a much of a cost savings mode as possible, and I believe at that time, that budget session of 2002, 10 to 15% of everybody's budgets were cut because that's what needed to be done, because Bethlehem represented approximately 10% of the property tax take overall for the county. The new jail on 49 opened right at this time, October, November of 2002. When you go back and look at the commissioners' minutes, I've had the pleasure of reading those, they were concerned of getting the last inmates out of that building before this auction took place. So that's how close in time this was, and I believe, kind of reading between the lines of those minutes, it was we need to get the new jail open, we need to get this building emptied, and we need to get this building sold as fast as possible. To give a little bit more detail or a little bit more shading of the picture, if you go back and look at those minutes, there's actually a little bit of a disagreement among the commissioners at the time of whether or not it was advisable to pay $55,000 to have the building auctioned off. Most of that was obviously for nationwide advertisement by the auction company, because there was a significant concern about the ability of the building to garner $55,000 at an auction. The building had been an active jail. It had significant problems, and we had done little rehab on once we pivoted and went to build a new jail. So when we sold this, I believe the inmates had been out probably less than a couple of weeks, and it had significant problems, and it was sold as is. 15 years later, and a whole lot of work done at the building, and I think that's what the appraisals show. All the environmental remediation, the jail cells are out, the roof has been replaced, windows have been cut in, didn't have windows, the elevators have been brought back up to code, the building has been sprinkled, all all the HVAC has been replaced. It is ready for tenant finish, and that's before you take into consideration that 4,000 square foot was remodeled into a restaurant that's been active. So that's kind of the true history of how we went from A to B, and how we got to these appraisals and why the appraisals changed. The most significant change was the high-speed internet lease that's on the building and the revenue that would be coming to the county, and also the additional work that had been done as far as studs, drywall, et cetera, that had been done in the building. So that's how we got to this number, and that's kind of really how we found ourselves back here. I mean, obviously, the reason why the commissioners chose this originally as part of the capital improvement plan was because besides the fact that this building is basically 36,000 square foot or more when you include the basement, and it's roughly $100 a square foot to purchase, it's also sitting next to the museum, the Memorial Opera House, and it's a half a block away from the courthouse. So there are some significant advantages to Porter County government on where this property is sitting that's probably unique to us and maybe not as unique to everyone else. But part of the plan here is to allow us to relocate some things out of the courthouse in downtown Valparaiso and some things out of the sheriff's department. But more importantly, the departments that we would be moving from the courthouse, this is obviously a lot easier of a transition for those services to move a half a block away. Frankly, it's a half a block away to where everyone's parking now at the courthouse. So there's just a whole lot of synergies that are happening with this building. And because of the lapse between appraisal and the refresh of the appraisal, the commissioners had the opportunity to kind of dig into what it would be to do an admin addition here. And probably at the end of the day, that was going to be something more close to 12 to 16,000 square feet for about the same dollars as this is going to end up being a finished 35,000 square foot building from the top 4 floors before you get to the 10,000 square foot basement. So that's kind of how the logic has got us to this point, and how the dollars have changed and the timeline from when the commissioners at that time sold the property and to this set of commissioners attempting to repurchase it back.
I think to add to that, commissioners, in the 90s, when the jail advisory board was created to evaluate or review the conditions of the old jail. The board never addressed the future use of that building. The Board of Commissioners at that time had no intentions of using that building. We were not in need of any growth space. We were in this building less than 10 years. We had a new juvenile detention center. We had done some renovation to the old courthouse. And even if we had, you got to remember that this 2002, this is before any county income tax in Porter County, and certainly before the sale of the Porter County Hospital. So there was, even if we had an idea to use this, far into the future for growth space, there was no resources to do that. So that's why there was never any serious discussion to holding it. As a matter of fact, from the day that we announced that we were going to build a new jail, we started very quietly looking for a new tenant. And we had the City of Valpo approach us, we had Ivy Tech approach us, but it was always the same theme, that they wanted the building donated to them. And some of us agreed and some of us didn't agree to that. So, and eventually, I understand, I was out of office by then in 2002 when it was eventually sold to the City of Valparaiso, and that's how we ended up here.
Not to the City of Valparaiso.
I mean, I'm sorry, yeah. To the current tenant. So, it's, had things been a little bit different, if we had the money at that time, the resources to hold on to it, to improve it, to move some offices, maybe we would have, but that simply wasn't the case. And so here we are, and in many ways, we're very lucky for this building to be available. It's over 40,000 square feet. It's built like a tank. It's going to be a great home for our E911 program. So we're very lucky, and I think that we would be amiss if we didn't pursue this. So that's all I have.
Just to fast forward a little bit to more current times today, and that's truly what we're dealing with today. Some of as we've been marching towards putting the capital improvement plan together, meeting with our design experts and people that we've contracted with, we got a study back last week from the Envelope study on the historic courthouse downtown. So I'm switching gears. I'm moving over to the downtown courthouse right now. In that study came back is we have some foundation issues there in that building. I think we've all sort of known that, but we've really never had it quantified before. It is a historical building. It has a stone foundation in there. The work that we need to remediate to fix that can be done, and we're already gathering numbers to do that. But I think one of the big things is, as Commissioner Biggs said, is we're going to be moving a lot of people out of that historic building where we have the prosecutor, adult probation. The building is very overused. The historic courthouse is very overused for the type of building that it is. And by us going in and fixing the skin, fixing the foundation issues, pulling about 75 to 100 working people out of that building, this should allow the wearing and the actual placement of that building to be there for a long time. And one of the other things I'd like to say is, as we've announced this, I've heard things from different people, and you're going to get this up here, I get it, but people are, you're growing government. Well, let me tell you something. We're not growing anything here. We're moving people around that are already here. We're just putting them in different places is what we're doing here. And, just walk through the historical building. I think if you guys have been when we did the presentation, all the electrical cords, all the electrical issues we have there, all the public restroom issues we have there, all those things are the electrical issues go away now when you pull 80 people out of a building, because 80 computers, 80 everything goes away, right? And then the public restrooms now, we can go in and we can remediate, make all the public restrooms ADA, and bring them up to code, and then in the end, protect this historic landmark building for us for a long time, and it also puts the court systems in a really good situation in Porter County for the next 25 years, for the backstaffing and all those other things. We also do have the 4D department, which is currently in a building downtown Valparaiso that's leased from another individual. When their lease is up, we're going to take a very strong look at them, bringing them over into that building as well. And the good thing about 4D is their lease comes with some federal funds, so we'll be able to bring those federal funds back to that building as well, too. So between the tower rental income we have, if we bring a restaurant back in there, and then some lease rental income from 4D, we think that we're going to be able to offset a lot of the cost that we would have anyway. And we're going to be putting all new LED lights, so the building should be very energy efficient and all state-of-the-art stuff out there too. So, for all the things mentioned here, this was sort of the pivotal piece for us on this part. And the other thing it does is I think it allows us to move on our capital plan much faster and much quicker. So that's the other takeaway. And more efficiently. So, one of the things that just to sort of put it all into perspective, there's been a lot of meetings going on, and I'll try not to take too long here, but we've been meeting with the city of Valparaiso and relinquishing some ground along Lincoln Way for them to put some more parking. We're working with, we're also looking at the easement alley behind the Memorial Opera House and the old jail, and now this building, where we could take over, trade some alleys and some easements that allow us to give us another 25 feet in there between buildings to do some creative things with. So this really sets us up, the county and the city here, to do some things for the downtown of Valparaiso going forward, but it also, in the same breath, enhances our venues that we have downtown too, in our office buildings. So, a lot of synergies here. So, you know, it's a good day in my opinion. So, Laura, did you have anything to add?
No, I think you guys
We covered it.
I just have one other clarification. This purchase that's contemplated before the commissioners now includes 2 parcels of property. I mentioned it earlier a little bit, but the second parcel of property is a larger parking lot behind 157 Franklin. The county never owned that. That was not bought at auction, because at the auction it went from the commissioners to the DeValis family, and that's who still owns it today. Once they purchased 157 Franklin, later on, they went out and purchased separately the back parking lot. This purchase agreement contemplates the building, the parking lot, and that additional parking lot. And as anyone who's tried to park in downtown Valpo knows, parking lot space is needed and not inexpensive. So that's also part of why this building's value grew over the 15 years, is because it's actually an additional parcel of parking that's included in this purchase.
And that'll be a benefit to the Opera House and the museum.
Well, and Jeff, you had pointed out, you know, some people, you know, may claim that it's growing government. I would really like, I think the commissioners would really like our residents to understand that it has been literally nearly 30 years since we've done anything significant to any of these buildings, and certainly purchased additional buildings. We moved into this building, I believe, in '93, so the decision to build it was done, I believe, in 1990. That was also the juvenile detention center, and some minor renovations to the old courthouse. And I think maybe even something was done at the Expo Center too at that time. So it's been roughly 30 years since, you know, we've invested back into these properties and setting ourselves up. I mean, we're a service-oriented business, and we have to have space that's appropriate for us to deliver our services, and that's what we're doing here. It's not because we like new buildings.
More to take care of.
Yep.
All right, so any other questions from the board on the contract to purchase? All right, I'll open the floor.
Motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve offer to purchase on 157 Franklin in Valparaiso. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries.
And thank you, Scott, for all your work you did on that.
Yep, you're welcome. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
The other thing I'd like to point out, too, now that we've made the offer, we're going to be working in conjunction with the City of Valparaiso. They've offered their services to help us out to do an RFP. So we will be doing an RFP on the restaurant space because of the liquor licenses that are in the City of Valparaiso and how they're dealt with. We want to make sure that we're being proactive. Our goal, again, is to get a restaurant in that building. We think it's a nice centerpiece for that, for the building, and we think it's an added benefit for the community and for our workers, too, so our employees. So we're going to be working with that, so be looking for that in the future as well, too. Next up, we have a resolution of the Porter County Board of Commissioners concerning the removal of parcels from the list of parcels to be sold at the Commissioner's tax sale scheduled for April 10th, 2018. Is this a public meeting?
No.
No?
All right, this is just, it's actually
Just a listed.
It's the Commissioner's certificate sale. We've had Shrewd and Fryman that helping us clean this list up. This has been over the last couple of years, a process in which the Commissioner's office, the Assessor's office, and the Auditor's office have been working together to try to shrink the list of properties that seem to be repeating on the tax sale and the commissioner's certificate sale list, and get that down to something a little bit more manageable and also something a little bit more able to actually be sold. This time around, what this resolution is proposing is to pull parcels of land that are in the Twin Creeks Conservancy District, up by the work that will be done by our Stormwater Department in South Haven, and also some parcels by Flint Lake for that Conservancy District. And then this would be the first step in the process of allowing the commissioners to take ownership of those properties, and then for the ones that the commissioners are taking, we would then assign them to our Stormwater Department to be utilized in the plans and any upgrades that are happening in South Haven. And then the Flint Lake ones are something similar. Those would be, Attorney Hollenbach brought those to our attention to help in their MS4 endeavors at the Flint Lake Conservancy District. So this is that first step in the process. The certificate sale is the 10th of April here in the Commissioners' Chambers. I can tell you that the Auditor's Office has done an exceeding amount of work. All the letters to all the adjacent property owners for over 400 parcels were done by the Auditor's Office. They were done in a very quick period of time, and that's what brought to the attention the parcels in Flint Lake. Our Stormwater Department scoured the list to make sure we didn't need any of the parcels for stormwater work, because ultimately, the reason why these parcels keep recirculating is because they're either wetlands, they're trapped, they're undevelopable, they're underwater, and so this was an opportunity, and this list probably composes 25, 30 individual parcels that are coming off, so we will be attempting to utilize those for MS4 and stormwater purposes, and that's kind of the first attempt at reducing the list of properties that are just getting recirculated.
And just to give everybody an idea, when this list started, when we got our hands on it 2 years ago, it was right around 1,000 parcels. So it's been pretty daunting to go through every parcel, but we're trying to get them out and cleaned up, and so, because that's 1,000 tax bills that go out twice a year. You got the mail, the postage,
Tax sales.
Tax sales. It's just a lot of work that you're spending money on for nothing. And so we felt we had to manage that. So that's what we're doing now. But it's a big task.
Parcels that need to get back on the tax rolls are remaining. Parcels that need to be either taken over by a conservancy or a parks department or our stormwater department, that's what we're attempting to do. These parcels at the end of the day are just not developable and therefore really aren't going to be generating any tax dollars, and that's why they've gone through this list here of properties. There's probably not a parcel on here that hasn't been through 4 or more tax sales and at least 2 commissioner certificate sales, to give you an idea of the public exposure on these properties.
Yeah. Well said. Any comments or questions of Attorney McClure from the board? I'll open up the floor. It's the resolution.
Motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion and a second on a resolution of the Porter County Board of Commissioners concerning the removal of parcels from the list of parcels to be sold as the Commissioner's text. The list is attached to the resolution. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. We're through the Commissioner stuff. Sheriff Reynolds. Looks like we got Chief Biggs coming forward here, and Edie.
Mainly Edie.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Right on cue.
Morning.
That's as fast as he's moved all month.
Going there. Oh, so we have Malinowski Consulting. This is a proposal for the preparation of the jail operating expense information form. What's that, Edie?
We had brought him to a meeting last
Right.
year and introduced you. And basically, what he's going to do is go in and see if we're able to make more money for the federal housing.
Okay.
What you would do normally is go into their system, punch in all the numbers of what the costs were for running the jail, and then they calculate it. And you never know if they're going to give you more money or not. This guy is going to go and do it on the side, figure out if we are going to get more money, and then he can plug it in if we are. If we're not, then we're not going to do it. But I think we should, because he wanted to do it last year. I said no, because we want 2017, which is high for the medical, the highest that we have a full year. We didn't have a full year with the medical in 2016.
Gotcha.
So I kind of pushed them off until this year.
So this has nothing to do with taking more federal prisoners in?
No, this is
This is
just
your rate.
if we get the rate
Okay.
higher, yeah. So we'll see. And if we won't have to pay the full amount if he, I think it's 80% we'll pay him to do it and figure it out, and then if we don't, then he won't charge us the rest of it. So it's basically, and I'm splitting it up between our two funds because that's where the money is going into, same cut that we get the money from.
Yeah, so that would be in the,
1217.
right. So commissioners are roughly 60 and you guys are roughly 40?
Actually, it is 43.30 you, 58.70 us.
There you go. Close.
Close.
Motion to approve, I hope we get
Second.
the right.
We have a motion and second for Malinowski Consulting for the preparation of jail operating expenses information form to review the jail rate from federal prisoners. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, pose same sign. Motion carries. Next up, Harley-Davidson of Valpo, a lease agreement for one motorcycle with an annual payment of $2,000.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and second for a new Harley motorcycle on leased for the Sheriff's Department in annual payment in the amount of $2,000. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, pose same sign. Motion carries.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Surveyor Kevin Bretsky, he's looking for a new truck.
Well, you don't look like a truck guy.
I am.
Looks like you got three quotes, Bozak Chevrolet at $31,100, Team Chevrolet at $32,042, and Harbor Chevrolet $32,386.
Motion to approve the quote from Bozak Chevrolet at $31,100.
This is no relation to Andy Bozak.
I have no idea.
Well, it's not.
Good.
Oh, it isn't?
No.
Okay.
It's without prejudice. They're all
Second.
great dealerships.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for quotes for the Chevy 2018 Chevy Silverado for the Surveyor's Office for Bozak Chevrolet, $31,100. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. IT, Don Walzen. This is NITCO service agreement to increase the bandwidth to be able to use the voice-over IP phones in the Hebron garage. Hi, Don.
Hello.
Can we do these together?
We probably need to do them separate, huh? Or can we do them
You
together?
can do them together.
Okay, so we're going to do them together.
The next one is the same, it's just for the phones in
Chesterton, right.
So I'll make the motion to approve both service agreements for Hebron and Chesterton.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for service agreements to NITCO for the Hebron County Garage, Highway Garage, and the Chesterton Highway Garage. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
This will bring our two south and north garages up to speed with internet bandwidth and all the other things that we're doing. Everything's IT today, so thank you, Don. Highway Department, Andy McKay, Superintendent, we're going to receive and open bids for bituminous materials. Hey, Andy.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Getting there.
Okay, we have 8 bids. First one is Boyd Asphalt.
Can I jump and do the other one when you're opening stuff? Probably not. This is kind of...
We're fine.
Well, you talk so long.
I did. I meant to.
Andy, we're going to give these to you, and then you can take them
I'm
back.
going to take them down,
Yeah.
and everybody can look at them.
Yep,
Fair pricing.
yep. I'm anxious to see you to buy 2 minutes. This is Central Paving out of Logansport. We received and opened their sealed bid. And this is Bitmat Products. I know, Town and Country Paving out of DeMott. Where are you reading all these? Pavement, yeah, Pavement Solutions, Inc. Can't read.
What's more exciting than paving?
There you go.
Yeah, Asphalt Materials, Inc. Got a lot of bidders this year, huh?
Reese Riley.
Reef Riley. Walsh and Kelly. There, we have them all. So we're gonna, Andy, take those under advisement, and then,
I'll take them down, and the vendors can check pricing on them.
and then I think, do we wanna enter these in next meeting then?
Correct.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, and then we're gonna be meeting with you next week?
Correct.
To go over our paving schedule and everything else, correct?
Yes.
Fun meeting. All right, next on the agenda, we have CR England, Inc. This is a lease agreement for equipment storage. This is in Portage. We have an agreement with the trucking company to use their yard for the highway department.
We stage a backhoe up there, in case we have a sinkhole or something develop, we stage our mower up there. It saves a lot of travel time.
That's right, and it's not on a frost law road either.
Exactly. It's right in town, so it's very close, and it's very
Okay.
convenient.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second for the CR England lease agreement. I believe that's a one-year agreement, right?
It is, and to be clear, the lease, there's no actual lease payment.
Right, it's free.
We pave a road, not pave a road.
We plow a road.
We plow
the
the
driveway.
Yeah, yeah, but we wanted to formalize it for insurance purposes and everything else, so. We voted on that?
Yep.
Yep, okay, great. And we look forward to the opening of the material numbers, and hopefully the rates didn't go up too much.
Very good. All right,
Thanks,
thank you.
Thanks, Andy.
Have a good day. Highway Engineering, Bob Thompson. This is a continuation of our last meeting, public hearing. These are second readings. This is Robert A. Binger and Christina S. Moradian. This is a petition to vacate Vale Street adjacent to lots 28, 29, and Block 3 in Hillcrest Park, recorded in miscellaneous records K, page 131, second reading, and I'll open it up to the floor to the commissioners.
Motion to approve on second reading.
Second.
Motion is second reading for a petition to vacate Vale Street adjacent to lot 28 and 29 and Block 3 in Hillcrest Park for Robert A. Binger and Christina S. Moradian. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Motion carries. Next one is the Raymond and Lois Pullins Revocable Living Trust. This, too, is a petition to vacate unimproved and unnamed road right-of-way. And this is adjacent to lots 1 and 2 in Hurlburt, recorded miscellaneous records E, page 184, second reading. Open the floor again to the board.
Motion to approve on second reading.
Second. We have a motion and a second for approval of a petition to vacate unimproved and unnamed road right-of-way adjacent to lots 1 and 2 in Hurlburt. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Motion carries. Now we're going to go into Engineering Plan Commission. Bob, give us, this is the UDO, second reading.
This is an amendment to the Unified Development Ordinance. It's the Plan Unit Development Section, Chapter 4. This ordinance would allow for the Plan Commission to waiver for the size presented for Plan Unit Development. Right now, it's rather strict as far as residential, commercial on that. This will allow residential to go down to 5, and it lowers commercial and residential combined, but it also gives the Plan Commission the ability to waive if they meet the certain requirements listed under the purpose statement. This is second reading.
Yeah, this is second reading.
Approve on second reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the UDO Unified Development Ordinance Amendment, Chapter 4, Plan Unit Development Districts. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. That's done. Next up, Bob, we have American Structure Point. This is an LPA consulting contract for Willow Creek Road extension from County Road 700 North to State Road 130.
Correct, this is Federal Aid project. We just recently approved the LPA NDOT contract, which allowed us to access the $248,000 for this project. On this is now going forward with actually having a contract with a consultant, American Structure Point, to look at the route analysis for Willow Creek extension from 700 down to State Road 130.
This is basically for the preliminary engineering work.
It's the start, yes,
Yeah.
because not only will we look at a route analysis, we're going to be diving into the environmental section of this also.
They call that a pre-engineering review.
Well, it's part of what they would refer to as the PE process. Yes.
Yep. Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for American Structure Point. This is an LPA consulting contract, so the contract is per the LPA, State of Indiana bumpers, guidelines. This is for Willow Creek Road extension from County Road 700 North to State Road 130. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All the same sign. Motion carries.
Got a big figure on that, and I see it's being passed around. Thank you, Rhonda. I really need everybody's signatures on this. I got to run it over.
Time is of the essence.
Yes. Thank you.
Always rushing us, Bob.
I can't help it.
Okay, that wraps up our agenda. Is there anybody here wishing to address this board? And with that, this board is in recess.